I was thinking about something a little bit more simple I call it the 3 Ps. Find one goal for your personal life, find one goal for your project, and you find one goal for your program. You're building something personally, you're helping improve your project, and then you're also sharing with that broader company. We talked a little bit about prompt engineering. That journey started, a year and a half ago for me, learning how to prompt. And I don't think I'm good at it, but I'm much better than I was before because I just kept going. So if you start a journey like that in 2025, just remember you're going to chip away at it slow bits of a time. And then you're going to look back after a year and realize, holy smokes, like how far I have come.
I like to do anti-planning, which is I like to plan in time that I haven't planned. So I haven't planned to do something in that time because free time creates serendipity. And if I've got objectives of learning, if I've got lots of free time, then learning becomes exploration, and exploration leads to creativity.
Hi, folks. A quick one before we dive into this week's episode. Our book, The Critical Path Career, How to Advance in Construction Planning and Scheduling, is out now, and you can order it on Amazon. We'll include a link below. This is a great way to show support for the Beyond Deadlines podcast, and Greg and I have worked extremely hard taking everything we know in our 30 years of experience, plus everything we've picked up from shooting this podcast, and we've tried to pack it into an information-dense book that you can use right away. In the book, we have specific strategies on how to get a raise, how to get a promotion, and find a new job. We include 26 of the best interview questions that we have come across, in addition to 34 specific impact ideas that you can go use on your projects today. We want to thank everyone who's shown us support so far and enjoy this week's episode. Welcome to the Beyond Deadlines podcast, where we tackle challenges that planning and schedule leaders come across on a day-to-day basis. My name is Micah and I'm a planning and scheduling manager.
And my name is Greg Lawton. I'm the CEO of an AI schedule management company called Nose and Links.
As we come to the end of the year, you may be thinking about 2025. And what's on top of Greg and I's mind is how do you set yourself up for success in 2025? Whether you're an entry-level scheduler or senior or beyond, what are the key things you need to do to make sure your 2025 is successful? I think the first thing is buy yourself a cool Christmas sweater that Greg and I are wearing. You can't see Greg. Come on, pop that thing up. Let the crowd see what we're rocking with.
Yeah, Thunderbirds right there.
Thunderbirds, #1. Love that sweater. So how you set yourself up for success in 2025? 1, like we just mentioned, buy yourself a cool Christmas sweater. 2, I was thinking about this, and there are a ton of different goal setting tactics, ton of different, OKRs and different plans and spreadsheets and things like that. I was thinking about something a little bit more simple I call it the 3 Ps. You find one goal for your personal life, you find one goal for your project, and you find one goal for your program. So for your personal life, that it could be something that you learn, like, hey, I really wanted to learn Power BI this year, or I really wanted to learn, advanced delay tactics. For your project, you find something on your project to fix or learn. So, hey, I was really thinking about for this subset of work, setting up some resource tracking or some, better progress measurement. And then for your program, that's something you bring to your company. And company doesn't start with a P, so I had to say program. But what you do is you find something that you can share broadly. So maybe it's something that you want to take out to the group. Maybe you want to be the host of a lunch and learn. And I feel like when you look at each of those 3 buckets, those will really help take you, to the next level. You're building something personally, you're helping improve your project, and then you're also sharing with that broader company.
I like that. What I found is, so I've done goal setting for many, many years now. And what I found is that at the start of each year, I'll sit down and it's kind of like the big stuff, the big goals. So what do I want to achieve in a year or 2, even 3 years sometimes? And then the next thing would be breaking it down into quarters, actually. Because a lot of people sit there and go, this is my plan for the year. And then they go, this is my plan for next week. And it's too big of a jump and too big of a step, actually. I just say, what am I doing this quarter? And to take your points, thinking about everything that we've talked about this year, well, it depends what people's goals are. Number one is everyone could educate themselves better on employment, promotions, building a consultancy. You did the episode the other week, so everyone could educate themselves on the things that lead to more monetary success.
There's there's a really good book that I read recently, called The Critical Path Career. I'm just kidding.
Literally wrote a book on this, but that's one source. There's also an element of just continuous education. But the other big one as well is I like to do anti-planning, which is I like to plan in time that I haven't planned. So I haven't planned to do something in that time, because free time creates serendipity. And if I've got objectives of learning, if I've got lots of free time, then learning becomes exploration, and exploration leads to creativity. So actually, it's very difficult for people with families and super busy jobs to do this, but actually one of the most impactful things I found that I can do is planning free time.
I think that is super important. Let's talk about a little bit more about that free time that you're planning, because when you mention free time, I just picture someone sitting on Netflix trying to pick a show for 30 minutes, then giving up and going to sleep. When you're doing free time like that, what does that actually look like?
So for me, I have two different kinds of free time. One would be free time first thing in the morning before all my staff get in work. And that's my free time to create. So I've got things that actually I need to create and get done, but they're all kind of geared to work. And then I've got my free time that's at the end of the day or at weekends. And that's my dreaming time. So that's the time where I'm thinking about the physics of acceleration or the physics of predictability, or I'm thinking about how I would start to automate other workflows using AI and these kinds of things. It's the unbounded. I don't have a deadline, and I don't have a clear deliverable I'm trying to get out of it. Whereas the first time I do, I'm sitting there going, I need to structure my day. I'm going to get these things done. It's just my time. Everyone can leave me alone. What I'm not doing is emails. Emails are something that they're emotionally gratifying because you feel like you've completed something, but they are productivity holes where you don't actually achieve anything.
No, I mean, I definitely achieve something when I spend 3.5 hours writing back an email to someone I could have just gotten up and had a 15-minute conversation with, or picked up the phone and had a 5-minute conversation with. Here or there, right? You keep your productivity systems, I'll keep mine, right? You got rockets, I got tacos, okay? Here we go. Let's talk a little bit about, when we look at 2025, what are the skill sets? What are the things that you think will help most people out if they go dive into? And let's break this down into 3 groups of people. I would say early on junior schedulers, we'll say senior schedulers, and senior schedulers beyond. That's the upper level scheduling managers, the VP directors, and things like that. For the junior schedulers, I'll kick things off. I think knowing and understanding the avenues in which you make more money in project controls and scheduling is a huge game changer. There's really only 5 ways, and we've talked about them all the time here. You get a raise, you get a promotion, you get a new job, you start a consultancy, or you start a company. Now, for you junior schedulers out there, you're probably not doing the last 2. And so figuring out how to get raises, how to get promotions, and how to get new jobs is a skill set you need to learn that's massively helpful. What else do you think out there for Greg, for people in the junior scheduling bucket's going to help lift them in 2025?
So junior schedulers are by definition learning machines, because you need to learn a profession. So you're in the and there's time dedicated to that.
I hope no one's offended that you just called them learning machines. Hopefully that pumped them up. They're like, yeah, I am a learning machine.
Yeah, that's right. What I'd be focusing on is what is an incredibly valuable skill set that, let's say, the older generation of your company might not want to engage with or might struggle to understand, and how do you create an initiative? So, for example, learn prompt engineering with AI algorithms. Learn a little bit of basic coding, like these kinds of things. A tiny bit of knowledge can carry you a long way. And then, for example, go to your senior management or your IT department or your leadership and say that you've got a passion in this, and you'd love to understand how your passion can help the business succeed much more broadly. And you'll be given initiatives with very senior people where you'll be able to learn from them. It's not, obviously you'll have to deliver the initiatives to the best of your ability, but it's much more of a learning exercise. You can learn about how much you can earn in different jobs and how to do the 5 methods from Micah and myself and your peers, but you can only learn how your business operates from the leaders of your business. And you need both of them to be able to succeed.
That's a great one. The other one I would add on, to that is, first I'm going to double down and say I think prompting is huge and could be very, very powerful. So powerful that I'm like contemplating creating a course on it, because when I go speak and talk to people, it's just so far out there for people. It's hard for them to grasp onto it. The other one I would say for the junior scheduler bunch is to start learning how to communicate with senior level folks. Learn how to start sharing your work. Learn to kind of build your persona up so you can be confident in large groups and speaking to large groups, because that one takes time, but you can chip away at it over time, and then you can become really, really good at it. All right, let's switch gears to the senior scheduler. What do you think the senior scheduler needs to pick up doesn't need to, could in 2025?
Do you know, I'm going to go off something that we actually haven't talked about in any of our shows yet, but I actually think is very important, which is how to write and communicate in professional English. By the way, what I mean is, a lot of people will have a lot of thoughts on this, but almost nobody that I've spoken with has actually taken a course in proper English writing, not literature, but proper English writing for business environments. And one of the hallmarks I see in the most senior leaders across the industry is they can articulate themselves incredibly well. They will actually spend 2 hours thinking about an email that's only a paragraph or 2 long, because they know that their words carry impact. And if you develop better communication skills, that sets you up very, very well for the VP and the very senior steps that you're going to take.
Welcome to the Beyond Deadlines podcast, where we're hypocrites, where 5 minutes ago we told you, don't worry about email, it's a waste of time. And then 5 minutes later, we tell you, work on that email for 2.5 hours.
There's different emails.
But you're making great points there. That is I would say, a lost skill and a lost art of taking complex information, simplifying it, and really working on how people are going to digest, understand, and execute it. Because as a senior scheduler, you're starting to kind of tip into that management role. Maybe you're already in it, and that is extremely important. I completely agree. I would say on the kind of early into senior scheduler role, it's broadening your technical base. So picking up the rest of project controls, cost, schedule, looking into contracts, risk, knowing whatever you're building, whether it's power plants or data centers, understanding technically what's being built. I think those are all super important avenues to pick up. And then I think the other one is starting to figure out what you want to do. Because senior scheduler to me is the tip of a point that blasts off into a million different directions. And so to me, that is, do you want to become a VP and go up that route? Do you just want to be an SME technical scheduler? Do you want to go into management? Do you want to go into project controls? It's this beautiful place where you can go do a million things. And if you just pick what you think you want to go do and go explore that, it'll help guide your career decisions and what you want to go pick up. Like 2 radically different scenarios that are both wonderful. One, you want to go be a VP. Good. Go get your MBA and start working on how to develop to be a leader and keep climbing that corporate org. You want to be an excellent SME scheduler. Go get a computer science degree, and go further your avenue that way. And I think both avenues are perfectly fine. But just understanding what you want, I think that's what really would help a senior scheduler in 2025. All right. Switching gears now to senior scheduler and beyond. What should they be picking up in 2025 besides a copy of Beyond Deadlines and a license to Notes and Links?
I'm obviously biased in this because I do a lot of research in it, but I see we're really actually in the age of mathematics and data science in the whole of project controls, not just scheduling. And we're in the age of organizational design. And that's really being driven by cloud tech and AI. And what that does is it opens up tremendous numbers of options. So some of the advice that I've given to the SVPs is they need to actually go and talk to their finance directors and understand share valuations. Because believe it or not, in business, not all dollars are the same color. A dollar from one stream of revenue is worth significantly less than a dollar from another stream of revenue, even if they carry the same profit in general. So there's all these nuances. And really what you're getting to there is the question of how do I disproportionately add scale value to the organization? That's the question. Now, what is scale value? Well, it's really what drives share price, and it's not just revenue, it's what kind of revenue and the operations. And then if you think underneath it, we're talking here about mathematics, data science. I was actually talking with a very large general contractor about 2 weeks ago, and they've actually just hired an amazing head of data science. I mean, like MIT data scientists here, and it's for business winning in construction. They go into client organizations and for free will analyze all of their data and start understanding how they build projects. And then will essentially use it to get all of the executives of that GC in the room with the client for the next 6 months. Well, whilst they, for free, design all of their processes with them. And then when they come to tender a $1 billion tender, who are they actually thinking is going to do that? Like, they're using it for business winning and not only business improvement. So I'd be looking at those because these are the kind of skills where to me, it is an absolute inevitable shift in the industry, which means that you have to have some incredibly niche, defendable position to allow a contrarian viewpoint to actually create a win for you.
There's a lot to unpack there. Almost a full episode worth of probably questions that come to my mind. When you think about that, the first place that I start is what is your overall kind of strategy? Now, how are you going to approach this so you can kind of fundamentally take the one bite of the elephant at a time? What are your recommendations there? Because what tends to happen, especially in scheduling orgs, is there's a lot of fighting fires. Because you have projects are delayed. Now all your energy is going on to this project that will be delayed no matter what, but someone thinks there's a miracle, it's going to pull it back in. You need to also be plotting a new course, a different direction, a different way in parallel. How do you lay out that strategy for 2025 that says, listen, we're going to go, pilot these bets and test this technology to go figure out what sort of capabilities it unlocks?
I'm going to answer that question assuming, we're talking to senior vice presidents here. They know strategy. They know how to do planning. They know the cycles. They know what we're talking about. All I can say is the things that really disproportionately add value to my process.
Are you
Let's just assume that they do, and we'll do an episode. We'll do some episodes on how to do it. But I'm going to assume that they do. I can talk about the things that disproportionately help me. So number one is serendipitous conversations. So I will regularly phone up other founder CEOs of different businesses, of fundamental AI infrastructure businesses or consultancies in the industry or other software companies in different industries. And I will have a conversation about the product economics, the sales economics, the sales motions, because what I'll find is they'll be doing things that I'm not, that I've never considered. So I can learn from that. And all it is a small context switch. So I'm thinking, would that apply to my case? Or is there some unique reason why not? So that's number one, because a lot of senior management will plan within their area, but they'll never go, for example, to the head of finance and go, so how are you thinking about strategy for next year? Like, what are you doing? That's number one. Number two would be only the Sith thinking absolutes. So you don't need to 100% go, I'm going to try new software, or I'm going to try new processes, or 0%. The job is about allocating finite resources, and the true finite resource you have is people's time. So for example, you could say 80% of all my people's time is going to be spent on these areas, 15% is going to be spent on these areas, and 5% we're going to save for special experimentation projects. And you can design those time buckets up front. And then you can create, for example, a small committee that decides what's going to go on in those time buckets on a later date. So what I mean is you can create a strategy of time allocation without knowing what's going in the time allocation buckets themselves.
I mean, folks, we had a Star Wars quote drop there, you know?
Yep.
That happened. Perfect. Okay. I think that makes a ton of sense to me. And I really actually like, all jokes aside, your thoughts on only a Sith deals and absolutes, because there's so much capability and technology out there that it's just not like it is 5 or 10 years ago. You don't just make one bet on one piece of software and stick with. You're not looking at this through the lens of how people look through ERP systems. You don't want to do that. You don't want to pick all of that. You want to go put those tiny bets on the roulette's table and see how they pan out. Okay, we've provided some guidance for the junior scheduler, the senior scheduler, and the senior scheduler and beyond. Any other things we're missing in terms of planning 2025 out?
Well, we could talk about people who are wanting to get in scheduling, but we could also talk about people who want to get out of scheduling into other professions and what that kind of scheduling takes with. I think that might be an episode for another time, but I'd probably finish up with this. That was
actually a great idea for an episode. But why would you ever want to leave?
Oh, life is full of adventures, isn't it? I think what I'd leave this episode with is, no matter which of those buckets you fall into, you're already doing something that other people aren't doing by actually listening to us pontificate. Now, it's not that you're listening to Greg and Micah, it's that you're listening to people in the industry who are thinking about how the profession and the industry works, such that you can develop your own opinions on it. And that is already ahead of a lot of people who, to be honest, just turn up for work, base themselves on the principle that if they do a good job, it will be recognised and they move up, which isn't true at all. And so you're being proactive about it. And I just say, carry that proactivity. And do you know what? I'll drop another quote, Micah. Do the next right thing, which is from Frozen 2, which I think it's a song, which is a beautiful song. Which is basically like,
we're on Frozen 2 now, folks.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in these things, which is you don't suddenly have to go from 0 to 1,000,000. It's just about doing one more thing consistently. You and I have had an amazing 2 years by just consistently turning up and recording an episode each week. We've met people from across the world.
I love that. I love that to finish on in 2025. Everything seems impossible until you start. Everything does. Everything seems like this giant mountain, this giant climb, this giant journey. And you just get started and you keep going. And you kind of, you need to align on what you think is important, what your priorities are, where your focuses are. Like you mentioned, your kind of year goals, your quarterly goals. But then it's just consistently moving forward. We talked a little bit about prompt engineering. That's one for me. That journey started, a year and a half ago for me, learning how to prompt. And I think I'm good at it, but I'm much better than I was before because I just kept going. I kept prompting. I kept, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. And so if you start a journey like that in 2025, just remember, you're going to chip away at it slow bits of a time. And then you're going to look back after a year and realize, holy smokes, like how far I have come. And for everyone listening out there, please don't watch Frozen 2. Not a great movie.
Oh, get off it. It's amazing, Frozen 2.
And if anyone tries to trick you into saying the Frozen movies are Christmas movies, they're out of their minds. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Frozen, not a Christmas movie.
Micah, I've got a question before we finish. Who hurt you for you to be saying such harsh things?
I have 2 young daughters. Those movies hurt me, okay? You don't have the little sound recorder that goes off every 3 minutes. Let it go, let it go. Come on now, Greg. You'll learn. You'll learn. But for right now, if I guarantee anyone who has small daughters just would be perfectly okay if that movie was wiped off the face of existence. The Thanos snap to the Frozen series. You know what I mean?
Well, all I'm going to say is, with that piece of holiday cheer,
the Grinch who stole Frozen.
All right, I think we should leave it there. Well, for everyone who's listened this year, thank you. Have a wonderful holiday if you get any time off. we've got some big plans for 2025 ourselves. The world will be bringing you some unique content, some fun things, and actually venturing even further down the road of being authors who write stuff, even though it doesn't pay anything. Just do it for the fun of it.
Yeah. Well, you can buy a couple copies of Frozen too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They hand them out for Christmas. Everyone gets the Blu-ray DVD. Folks, thanks for joining us this week. Like Greg said, hope you have an amazing holiday break. We are jazzed for 2025. We hope you're just as excited. If you need help or support, definitely subscribe to our newsletter. We provide a tactic each week. Last week, I shared a prompt that will literally help guide you step by step write amazing OKRs. I share 3 jobs each week. We mentioned careers. If you're looking for new careers, I find 3 of the most interesting jobs on LinkedIn, and I post them every week. So for 2025, go get it, folks, and we'll see you on the next one.